Welcome to the Narrowboat that James built. Hope you're well. Thanks for joining me. Today I am definitely putting up my first bulkhead. Right, it's in with a couple of acro props at the moment, and what I'm trying to do is just make sure it all lines up. But the important thing is, if I can find my ruler, is that this is the void inside there, and it's perfectly square. You can't really see it there, it's not a very good angle, sorry about that. But yeah, that's kind of sitting nicely. It's quite high up on that side and on that side. It's not fitting within the ceiling. That's as high as I can get it, which is an opening of 192. And I need to drill a couple more holes to secure it in place there and there. And on the other side, up there and on that side. And then can start to maybe consider putting this all together properly. Okay, so this is now been secured up to the brackets which have been welded to the roof, and it's kind of working all right. I put some spacers in there on the screws which kind of clamp it all together so it can't kind of buckle or anything. I'm liking that. It's also bang on square and kind of in line with where the wall cavity is going to be. So what I really need to do now is work out the proportions of the actual door. So for that I'm going to use just a bit of pine. This is the same width as the door, so it'll fit into that kind of groove, so I can manipulate this bracket here and suspend that off there. But what I'm trying to do is work out how much I've got to do on that side for it to kind of go back into there. Right, let's take this down. Okay. Right, so this is the setup I had with the wheels. I got a threaded bolt going through them. Problem with that is it kind of does move a little bit, and I mean I could adjust that by using locking nuts, but I'm going to see. The other problem is with the way that this is going to fix into the door. I could bolt it through this and then put that, then screw that into the door, but there's kind of a few components there. So what I'm thinking on this one is just to basically go through with a screw straight into the door, and obviously it'd be pulling it down, so it's not going to change much, you know, it's not going to adjust at all because the weight of the door will be pulling it down. But at least that way then there's less to go through the that bit. Right, I'm kind of struggling to do this without a pillar drill to get that absolutely kind of square, but I'm going to persevere. I can line it up nicely that way so it kind of sits kind of vertically square. Right, let's try the next one. Let's put it there. I just want to see how this performs inside the rail. Right, I now have the door kind of in like that, and I can just kind of do minor adjustments on the trim through the gap there. I've got the screws, so about right. All right. Okay, that kind of works. Obviously, it's going to have a load of wobble that way because there's nothing holding it in place here. But the idea is when the door is over that way and it can wobble like mad, it won't, because this part of the door, well, this is what I've got to calculate now really, if the bulkhead is coming up to there, so it's going to be kind of, that'll be the wall, that will keep it, obviously there'll be a little bit of play in it. Well, as I said, there's about 1 mil on between both sides. There's not much play, but it should be enough to stop it kind of moving, and that'll be all the way down. So, but that's another thing I can come to. At the moment though, it's about working this out. I'm quite liking this. One of the things I have to pay attention to though is the kind of the servicing or the maintenance of this track. It's not going to be easy to get to. I'm trying to work out ways that can happen. The only other thing I can do is basically what the only kind of the issues I might have is that the wheels get clogged with dust or kind of whatever. The only other issue I might have is that if I go down the route of using screws to mount this in, that the screws might, you know, if the wood kind of warps or gets kind of damp or something over time, the screws might give way a little bit. But I don't know, I was thinking on the bottom of the door to have little runners as well to kind of ease the guiding motion. So there's still quite a lot to factor in here, but my main thing is to work out the door dimensions, as I've said. So obviously it's got to come down to the bottom of that wall there, kind of. Ideally it could go further, but maybe not. Maybe just, you know, not underneath the gunnels, just up to there. So it's still got to come out another about 15 centimeters on that side. So that means the whole door, if it was up to about there, which looks about right, would be 90 centimeters in width. And then if it was closed back, basically this cavity therefore would have to be, what did I say, 90 centimeters. So this would have to be 90, which is what? 3 foot. I mean, it's probably going to be 4 foot. That's the normal on a narrowboat, to have a 4 foot bulkhead and a kind of a two footish gap. So if that were the case, I've got bags of room in there to put in that. If it didn't have a wobble on the door, that lines up absolutely spot on. Right, the makeshift door is continuing. So I've got the angle there, right? So it comes down to the, obviously it's got to come further. But I'm starting to work out now what that means for how much it's got to come in by. Right, I've put in an acro prop instead. That is at the 4 foot mark from there to there. And therefore it's kind of 2 foot from there to there. That's kind of quite a small aperture. Kind of, it's not, you know, I mean, it's fine to walk through, you can just get your shoulders through, but it's a little bit on the narrow side. So I'm thinking I might have a look and see what it's like if I shimmy it across by a little, maybe 6 inches. I can always save a bit of space, 6 inches there. I've got a bit of gap there, a bit of tolerance. So that might make it just feel way more than 6 inches in that gap there. Yeah, that's a little bit more generous actually. You know, my elbows aren't hitting the walls as I go through. So that feels nicer. Looks like that is kind of vertically true, so that's good. So now I can work out the door of that. But I think I'm happy with that, and I can do the same on the other side. Maybe the doorway going from the bathroom into my room is going to have to be 4 foot because the bed's going to be on that, or on that side there. But here, I reckon, kind of make it a little bit more generous. So if that's the case, the wall is going to be there where the acroprop is. When the door's closed, I've kind of got this bit of overhang left, because at the moment it's not going to kind of go into the cavity enough. So the top of the door can be trimmed to about there or something. The more door I've got inside the cavity, the better, because it will keep the whole thing more stable. So I'm going to try taking off maybe 70mm off the end of there or something like that. I could possibly also shape the door so it kind of fits within there. That's not a bad shout. Like what I've done there. Right, I've put some measurements up on this temporary door, so I can take it down now and actually kind of make up the door frame properly. Well, not properly, but just out of this scrap stuff, and just see how it all kind of hangs. I've had to move those two in so it actually fits across there and back to there, and it's definitely going to fall within inside the cavity of the wall. I've just got to elongate that one so it matches up with that, and then just kind of make sure I've got the proportions of the door right. Right, just trimming that because I've raised it up now in the track, and I've kind of made a bit more of a frame of a door. So I've got to work out kind of the centre position of it and kind of get the balancing right of when it's kind of properly done. But this main exercise is to ensure that it fits within the cavity of the bulkhead, which it will do, and that's a kind of the most generous aperture I can get it to. That will kind of fit quite nicely. I'm looking also at how I can also secure in the 2 sheets of ply which are going to form the facing side of the bulkhead. And see, if I had a pillar drill, I reckon I could get this better, but it's pretty good. I know I can make up a jig instead of using a pillar drill, but that's a bit of a ball ache. But one thing I did struggle with is getting this thing in, because obviously this is all one piece and attached to that. So I'm going to have to kind of put some thought behind how I'm going to make the door. Obviously I'm going to have it something suspended in this when I put this up. So what I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to have to kind of construct the door from a piece up here, and then I can get the door to fit properly, although it is, and then put on the back piece of the wall, otherwise I'm just not going to fit it all in. But I reckon that's probably going to be the way to go. And then to service it or to dismantle it, I'm going to have to rip the whole bloody boat apart. So I just hope I don't have to do that. Go back to Travis Perkins, grab either Marlin or Sweary Dan, bring another sheet back, and yeah, make that bulkhead. Oh, this guy's going to start to hate me. The boards I need are those ones up there. Happy days. another beautiful piece of beach ply there. I'm going to lay this out and then mark it all up 1,000 times before cutting. Right. Blimey, is this even going to fit in? Oh. It's a bloody bathroom singing all over again. Right. Right, here we go. Moment of truth. Right, well that's all quite nice. I can probably mount that in there temporarily. Wow, I got that bit wrong. How did I get that wrong? Fortunately, it's going to be that's going to be trim over there. That's bloody lucky. All that's obviously going to be covered up with trim. That runs square with that. That's good. Right. The only place I can fix it though is across there at the moment. Obviously down on I could attach it on the floor on this side. So I'm going to put some fixings in. Wow, what a change in sound. Right, drill. I'm pretty happy with how this is coming together. It does mean I'm able to, I didn't think I was going to be able to get a decent fixing up here, but I will just by making a little block to go in that gap there. That'll kind of keep it nice and rigid to this, which will allow the door to swing open, slide open. So that's all right. I can't put on the other side until I finish the door, but I keep this side up. I don't think it's going to impede me too much in the boat. It's made the front of the boat really dark, obviously. This is going to have to be painted because, well, I don't like the fact I got cross grain, so I've got horizontal grain there and the grain goes vertically. But the only bit of this you're going to be able to see, this is all going to be covered here. There's going to be a bit of area here that you'll basically see here, and then a bed across there. So you're not really going to see much of it. So I won't lose any sleep over that. Yeah, quite a nice kind of width of walkway there. That's all right. And obviously there's the door. Yeah, happy days. It does look like I'm going to get away with the outside of the wall to the other outside of the wall to be about less than 40 mil wide or thick, which is pretty good going. That's all quite nice and square and true. So yeah, this is all decent. And obviously this will be nice and rigid when I've got the cupboard up. And I think I'm going to have to bring the cupboard right up to this edge now, just to keep this edge nice and rigid. I was thinking about insetting it a little bit, but I don't think I will. And obviously then it's going to impede me in my width of the bed, which everyone has said get for 2.5 foot if I can. So I think, yeah, cupboard enough to come out to here. It's not going to be very deep. Right, yeah, that's pretty good. I'm going to put a few more battens along the base and stuff around the back here and get it all nice and secure. and then kind of make a little block to go at the top there, if I've got the right timber on board. If not, I'll have to go and source something tomorrow. Right, I really need to start making the door, but before I do that, I really need to start working out how it's going to be made and put in place. It's causing me a bit of a headache now to think. I don't want there to be a stonking gap on the floor, so I'm going to have to really kind of give this some thought. So I'm going to turn my head to that tonight. But I also really need to start building the galley, because the stove's coming soon, thank God. It's freezing. There's no real way of warming this boat up. I've got an electric heater, but it sucks the power out of that thing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to heating. So that's kind of a couple of weeks away. But in the meantime, I think I can leave this. It's as much of this I can do. I've just really got to sort out the door and the galley. Yeah, so I've got quite a lot to do. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.